Hagada.
Not a question with that, but Aaron has a question about the...
Last week, the 4 instances in the Chumash where you use a special trup, the long trup. The first would be with Lot and the angels.
Yes.
Okay. The second was Eliezer,
Yeah.
I think, and then with David.
Joseph.
Okay, now it's the last one that I have a question about, what the significance is.
Yeah.
Okay, so Moshe Rabbeinu, when he invested the priesthood with his brother. Okay. So my understanding is that he was upset, Moshe, because in addition to Aaron, he invested Aaron's sons with the priesthood, and deep down he wanted his sons to assume leadership in the Kahal, in the community, and that's the reason why we have that jump. Is that, I don't know.
Well, that's a good idea. Could well be. Any other questions? So let's now just introduce the general pattern of the Haggadah of Pesach, which follows and is connected with the 4 cups of wine which everyone should drink on the Seder night. And the Mishnah says that even the poorest person should be able to have 4 cups of wine. What is significant? What lies behind this? The 4 cups of wine correspond to 4 sections of the Seder. The first is Kiddush, the second is Birkat HaMazon, the third is on the Hallel, and the fourth is on the future songs of praise of the redemption which will come. But in addition to this, the sages say the 4 cups, the concept of a cup, kos, is used also in the prophets as Hashem not kosi. Hashem is mot chalki v'chosi. Hashem is the portion He's given me. V'chosi is my cup. You find it Tehillim, kosi ravaya. My cup is overflowing. So it depends what's inside the cup. There are verses in the prophets, you can have a cup filled with poison. You can have a cup filled with wine that has gone sour. But you can also fill a cup with a cup of joy. As we know, there's a certain event in Jewish life where 2 people drink from 1 cup. Which is that? They get married, they become one. And the idea of drinking from 1 cup is, the cup is filled with wine. Wine is the symbol of joy, as we learned from Purim. So, we hope that in every marriage, by drinking from the same cup, the joys will be doubled. And also by sharing the same cup, the troubles will be halved. They'll feel the troubles less because they share them. So this is a deep concept. Similarly, our relationship with Hashem. We, the people of Israel, in fact, Shir HaShirim, as you know, is sung on Pesach, the Song of Songs, because the Song of Songs speaks about the greatness of love. The metaphor is the greatness of love which human beings feel in marriage, when the Jewish concept is not to fall in love, but rather to rise in love. We recognize that love between a man and woman is perhaps the greatest sign of something that happens not just through freedom of choice. It happens also from above. Like for example, we find in the Chumash, Yaakov and Rachel, they, with the first meeting, they had a close love relationship. But let's say Yitzchak and Eliezer, even done indirectly, it was an arranged situation. And by Yitzchak and Eliezer it says, when Eliezer brought Rivka to meet with Yitzchak, so it says, he investigated that she's got similar qualities as he'd learned from his mother, and then he married her, and then he loved her. So somebody's love develops. But we also know the situation, people fall in love means it comes from above. And this is used in the wider world of entertainment. You know, to fall in love is the highest romantic, and some people also even regard emotional experience, because they feel it's something that comes from above. And sometimes it works more from below. So the Shir HaShirim is in fact only a metaphor for the highest love, which is the love between Hashem and man. In other words, a metaphor for the highest level of not just the physical instincts, which we share also with the animal world, the physical instincts which influence the emotions, but there's a spiritual source on the highest level. In fact, the inner soul of the human being needs also to come to its fulfillment, to love the one who gives it, which is God Himself. And that's what is described in the Song of Songs. That's why this is the special scroll which we read on Pesach. Because Pesach represents the love relationship between Hashem and Am Yisrael. Even today when we put on the tefillin, where we bind ourselves, we put on something in the place of a ring. The hand tefillin, we strap them around the finger. And when we strap them 3 times around the finger, what do we say? We say, I will betroth you unto me with forever. It's a constant bond between the heart of man through the hand with Hashem. The individual Jew binds himself to Hashem and also tries to feel that Hashem is responding. And that is the ring that we wear. So Pesach was the time when Hashem, as we express when we put the ring around our finger, it's a reference to the nation of Israel, that the bond between Hashem and people of Israel is an everlasting bond. Secondly, it comes through justice and charity and loving kindness. That's the second one. Then the third one is that we reach the heights of faith, of closeness with Hashem, the Yadat of Hashem, the knowledge of Hashem. In fact, the word Yadat of Hashem is used in the first chapters of the Chumash. V'adam yada et chava ishto. It refers to the highest level of unity, referred to also between the first unity between man and woman. So that's the concept of betrothal. And the betrothal we celebrate not just with 1 cup of wine of joy, similar to Chosn HaKal, but with 4 cups. And those 4 cups correspond to the 4 expressions of redemption which are mentioned at the beginning of Parshat Va'era, in chapter 6 of Exodus, Shemot. It says there, even when the people in Egypt, Hashem says that I'm going to take you out from under the burdens of Egypt, and I'm going to save you from their enslavement, and I will redeem you with a strong hand and outstretched arm. And then I will take you for myself as my people. So this is like in Kicha Lakachti is used as the expression for marriage throughout the Tanakh, throughout the Bible. So these are the 4 cups. So, to celebrate them and to celebrate with joy, to reach the high happiness that we are connected with Hashem, that's what we reenact every Seder night. So therefore I'd like you now to turn to the beginning of the Haggadah Pesach, if you have it with you. And if not, then I'll work with you. If you look at these, give up these pages. Kiddush is something with which we will Kaddish or Echad. So we begin the Seder night with Kiddush, sanctification, like we do on Shabbat and Yom Tov. So that's probably familiar to most of you, so we don't have to give a deeper explanation, except that the first cup of wine, we have the double intention to fulfill the mitzvah of Kiddush and the first expression of redemption, which is the characteristic of, after all, we refer to Pesach as Man Chirotein, as the time of our true freedom. Now, the concept that it's the true freedom is developed throughout the Haggadah Pesach. Even though Am Yisrael was still in Egypt, but the moment they were told, I'm going to take you out from under the burdens of Egypt, the idea was not that they will continue as people who are at liberty to do whatever they want. But this was not a license. Freedom is used today also for a license. I'm free to do whatever I want. And that type of license can even lead to licentiousness. People think, in my life, I'll do whatever I want. I don't want to be a slave to anybody else. I don't want to give service to anybody else because I'm here for myself. I want to do whatever I want. And therefore, we do have a situation, what we can call today anarchy. Anarchy means you don't accept any arch, you don't accept any higher authority apart from yourself. And we even societies that believe in anarchy. Do whatever you want, let each group what they want. Well, anarchy, if it's extended too far, leads to the corruption of the divine image of man and leads to the collapse of human society. And that's if you just follow license. If people will think we've been redeemed from Egypt and now we can say what we want, we can deceive whom we want, we can lie to whom we want, and we can kill whom we want. So that leads to... So instead Hashem said, no, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, because the four levels of redemption, their ultimate aim was, I will take myself for a people, which took place when did Hashem take us for himself as real people? My people?
The Torah.
When the Torah was given, after 49 days, when they managed to remove the 49 gates of impurity and they reached the high level, then Hashem said, I have taken you out from Egypt. This is the same expression that is used by the first expression of redemption. I took you out. What say to you? This is the first expression. I took you out from the Me'eretz Yisrael, from the land of all types of limitations, because Meitzah means all limitations, all types of troubles, Lachon Tzara. I took you out from feeling at home in bondage in Beit Avadim. So I want you to become my servant. I'm giving you laws. And those laws, you should become a servant to my laws. And thereby you have freedom. Because true freedom is not just giving in to your whims and fancies and your materialistic desires. It means giving in to your conscience with the voice of God and to the revelations which have been created for mankind's service to Hashem. So this is well, I'm going on for Kiddush now to the first part of what is unique, which you don't find it any other time of the year, which is Holach Ma'anyo. So that's why I'm putting up this page of Holach Ma'anyo. This is the bread of affliction, which our forefathers ate in the land of Egypt. Now the Haggadah of Pesach spans all ages. It's based on verses in Chumash, Pentateuch, and the words of the prophets, and then the words of the early sages and the later sages, and additional prayers all the way through the Haggadah until more recent times. So that's also we'll find different forms of Hebrew. Holach Ma'anya isn't really Hebrew anymore. Holach Ma'anya is Aramaic, a language which is near to Hebrew, and which is the spoken language of Jews when they entered the Babylonian exile. When no Jews were left in the land of Israel, in fact they came to Babylon, many of them even forgot Hebrew. They had to have the Hebrew translated into Aramaic. But they should still think, therefore, Holach Ma'anyo, this is the introduction to the Seder, and it's based upon the principle of hospitality. The reason why in other words, this bread of poverty, which our forefathers ate in the land of Egypt, so therefore, Kol Dichfin, everyone who's hungry, you should look inside so you can know, you need to know the translation, unless you know it already. Yeseh v'yechol, let him come and eat. The first principle, after we've sanctified this night to Hashem with a cup of joy and thanksgiving, is to say, we open this Seder to anyone who's hungry in the world. Everyone's welcome. Whose example are we following here? To introduce this night, which is really the birth of the people of Israel, to introduce this night for the people of Israel with an expression, our home is dedicated to hospitality. Where does that come from first?
Avraham Avinu.
That's right, Avraham Avinu. We're told about the greatness of Avraham Avinu. How Hashem loved him, revealed himself to him. But the main, longer description of the quality of Avraham Avinu was his enormous hospitality. There's other aspects of Chesed. But I think the reason is that hospitality says that we have to become hosts and help those who don't have it. We who have bread have to give it to those who don't. If we have higher ideals and ideas and others don't, we've got to spread it to the others. And that's why Avraham Avinu was chosen. Because if you look in the Chumash, who is given the high titles of Avraham Avinu? Before Avraham Avinu. So it's high titles. Avraham Avinu didn't get such titles. What were they? Who was it? You don't know? Who was a great saint before Avraham Avinu?
No.
Noah, Ish, Tzaddik, Tamil. He was a man of saintliness and perfection. He doesn't say that anywhere, Avraham doesn't say anywhere in the Chumash Avraham is a saint. Neither does it say in the Chumash that he was perfect. He was only told at the age of 100, he did the Brit Milah, you've got to become perfect. Noah was perfect. A high level of perfection. In fact, Hashem said, if not for Noach, he would have destroyed the whole world. But Noach matzachein b'nei Hashem, he found favor in the eyes of Hashem. So the titles he's given are greater than the titles given to Avraham Avinu.
All was perfect.
And that's why he was given the Noachide code, which you call today the Noachide code. Why? Because Hashem is the father of all human beings. And therefore, he brought man into the world, Adam and Chava, and they were on a very high level of affection, but it wasn't called Sidkut. Their level of perfection of Adam and Chava was something that was given to them. If Adam and Chava represent Adam and Eve, the highest potential for each human being. And they were given enormous potential, and therefore their high perfection and saintliness wasn't their merit. They were created by Hashem in that manner. Even when it was there, Hashem also gave them 6 of the Noachide commandments. And he gave them also a pattern of life, and which introduced in the Chumash that life, this world, can be a beautiful garden, and you've got to cultivate that garden and protect it. And don't think the garden is only for your consumption. It's for your consumption, for your joy, but in order that joy should remain, there's a limitation. Otherwise, you've got to learn, if you put it a very simple way, to not pursue instant gratification. You've got to enjoy what Hashem lets you, and you've got to keep away from things which are poisonous. So, even in the garden, there wasn't direct poison, but there was the potential of poison. There was poison in the Nachash. Similarly also, the Nachash is the primeval serpent, which is equivalent to the Satan, which is equivalent to the evil inclination. So therefore, even Adam and Chava, they lived in a garden filled with joy, or you can even interpret, even this world was to them a fantastic garden filled with harmony, but the potential of creating disharmony existed as a potential. That means you've got, like in every garden, you've got to remove the poison. Even they were told, you've got to cultivate the garden, don't allow the poison to take over, otherwise the fruits will become destroyed. So you also, in your feeling of harmony with Hashem, harmony with nature, harmony with all the surrounding creations of Hashem, can be preserved. But if you want to know what it's like to allow the potential of poison, that's the danger line. So even Adam was told, and Cain Abel afterwards, you should know that if you want to reach a high level, you can reach a high level. But you should know that the door to Gan Eden, sin crouches at the door. And that applied to Adam and Chava. But there the door was the Nachash, which is wound round the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They knew beforehand, because this big question which you often discuss, beforehand they knew the difference between truth and falsehood. But they had the ability to make choices, which means that a person's got a choice, he wants to explore the choice. And some even until today, some psychologists say the greatest drive of the human emotions is curiosity. We wish to explore. It can be used for good, used for evil. And if that even exists about Adam and Chava, you see it. Chava said, oh, it's something I mustn't do. There's something I can't enjoy. So let me find out what it is. And that, they say in colloquial English, say curiosity killed the cat. So curiosity was what brought Chava to go and try out. Oh, there's this tree there, which mustn't eat its fruit. Why not? And really, this procedure of Adam and Eve, you can even compare it to the innocence from before childhood. And in childhood, then you come to the age when you say curiosity for a certain time, your teachers and your parents sometimes, and some of the books that we tell you, also you see a lot of people who are criminal, keep away from criminality. Don't do this, don't do that. Even today, parents tell the children, and most of the teachers say, you're not allowed to smoke. It's dangerous to your health. Don't eat too much sugar. It's also dangerous for your health. The truth is, at a certain age, we all get the tendency to say, oh, I must try it out though. I'll just try it out. They say mustn't do it. It must be very attractive. So that type of that curiosity often leads us to explore sinfulness. In fact, I once asked a Jew who became a Buddhist, and I said to him, how do you believe in all these things? You sit down in front of the Buddha, you bring him spices, incense. You had such an education, why do you do such things? Why? Well, he said to me, I'll tell you what happened. I was very interested in Far Eastern religions, and I went to study it a lot. I have degrees in sociology. Find out the sociology of these people. And some of them are very nice people. And there's a lot of spirituality there. So therefore, in due course, I became so used to it, so I joined in as well. I feel this is the way of bringing incense to the image of the Buddha. So it reminds me of the Buddhist principles of behavior that brought me to it. So you never know how far a person goes and what's happened today, what it is happening. It's also curiosity. So many. If somebody asked me this morning, how come that in Belgium there's so many terrible terrorists around? Well, Daesh, I think they got more Western European recruits to join them, and they joined Daesh, and many of them are university graduates, people who had an Western education. They joined this group, but that's what's happening. It's happening. Yeah, it's acceptable. There are thousands of them by now. In Europe, it's becoming transformed to become a haven for murderers. That's what happened. That's how the education brings it. I mean, there's so much brain contamination going on through the mass media and other ways that people become, unfortunately, their brains are washed out. They're cleansed of everything which has to do with purity. In other words, they are contaminated in the extreme. So, let's go back. The Aseret HaDibrot is the voice which is given in the wilderness, and the voice has to be heard in the wilderness of today, that our duty as descendants of Avraham Avinu, Noach was very saintly, but he couldn't save the world. He tried to, but he couldn't save. Why not? Because he was very saintly, but he felt it was also difficult for him to understand that. he had to preserve his own family from being victims of the pollution, not just the physical pollution, but the moral and spiritual pollution of the whole environment. So we had to make an airtight, almost airtight ship, the Teva, in order to immerse themselves, as they say deep on the Teva, Soa Tasela Teva. In other words, the words of Satan, which Hashem had already revealed to Avraham Avinu, and that saved the world. But it just gave the world another chance. Hashem had given the world another chance, see what's happening. And he saw Noah was too weak. Noah had a son, Shem, who carried on and spread the Noahide code a little bit, but only those who came to his place. He didn't go wandering around teaching the greatness of the moral God. And the way to Avraham Avinu came, and he was a searcher, didn't have the benefits of Noah. His father was a manufacturer of idols. Terach, and that comes probably from the root Yareach, from moon worship. And he had to become the iconoclast who would pull down the idols and become a revolutionary and change his environment. How did he do it? Not by force, but by loving kindness. So this loving kindness, he knew Hashem. When he came near to Hashem, Hashem loved him and saved his life. He said, Hashem saved my life from destruction because I had to battle against the rulers of the Babylonian corrupt idolatrous regime. I was thrown in the first fiery furnace and I was saved. I was saved to save others. And therefore I'm going to bring the people, the descendants, also to feel if you exist in this world of evil, that's why the people had to go. It says right away, the first vision of Avraham Avinu, your descendants will never learn the lesson of how to change the world unless they themselves feel that they are endangered, that they are survivors. So I'm going to put you through the iron furnace of Egyptian enslavement so that you'll feel what it's like to be even a zombie, almost, and you have no backbone left of your own personality and your own traditions from these great forefathers, because that's the way you learn to be outgoing to those who don't have it. That's why we begin to say the Pesach. Pesach corresponds to the quality of Chesed, Chesed Shel Avraham. Begin with hospitality. Any questions? That's Holach Ma'anyo. And you know that
I have a question.
and there is something I must add. Holach Ma'an, you know, generally speaking, there's a person who conducts the Seder, who knows it and explains it, and answers questions, also asks questions. But Holach Ma'anyo, in fact, it's got to be said by everybody. Start with the usual custom in any case. You have to uncover the matzot, because the matzot represents what it says here. Even before the Exodus, they didn't have time to bake proper bread. The bread that they had was lechem oni, was bread of affliction, which represents the enslavement of the Egyptians. You know, it's like the hard shemura matzah, which is difficult to eat. It's not the nice matzah that's made nicer. Some matzahs you get, especially those for the mitzvah.
Chocolate covered matzah.
Yeah, sometimes they don't even take. It's the matzah with the moro together, you know, the koirech. So you've got to have the bitter herb, the chrein, the raw chrein, you know. Yeah, that was the bitterness of Egypt, that's what they had. So therefore, we say today that everyone's hungry, come and eat. Okay.
You mentioned
And we have to say
yesterday-
together because it's got to be the mission of the people, all families of Israel together.
You mentioned yesterday about idolatry and corruption. What specific kind of idolatry were the Egyptians involved in, and what kind of imprisonment did they do to the Jews? Do they have any specific types that
Look, I
of
leave
the
that to
Jews?
you to look up. Just even to read through the Chumash with the commentary and the Sabbath, take a commentary on the Haggadah. That's what I want you to bring your commentaries on the Haggadah. I've got many in the yeshiva in English.
All right.
You can borrow them, and you'll find even we've got books here which give you pictorial descriptions of what went on in Egypt.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
How Pharaoh made himself a god and regarded the Nile as god, and regarded all citizens of his empire as his slaves to a great extent, especially the weaker ones. The stronger ones, they became his advisors, magicians, who worked under him to go deceive and exploit the different slave groups that existed in his empire, by means of whom they built what you see today. You can even read one of the great archaeologists of Egypt was Nelson Glick, and he wrote history and said it confirms everything in the Bible. There's also plenty of more recent excavations which teaches more.
Where do you recommend to go visit for artifacts and things of this nature?
Hey, one question per person.
Oh,
Yeah, other questions have to wait till tomorrow.
okay.
We'll keep one of these in any case. Next show.
When can you proceed? Is that artifacts of Egypt?
Artifacts?
Oh, something else.
Many museums.
Have you heard of the Serpent of Light?
The what?
The Serpent of Light?
The circus?
Serpent of Light?
Serpent of light?